Some House lawmakers slammed the petition filed by Vice President Sara Duterte before the Supreme Court to stop her impending impeachment trial. Here's the report.
Vice President Sara Duterte filed a petition for temporary restraining order and writ of preliminary injunction to halt her impeachment trial at the Senate before it even begins. This is on top of a similar petition filed by a group of Mindanao lawyers, also challenging the constitutionality of the impeachment process. Duterte invoked the rule, stating that only one ouster complaint can be filed against an impeachable official within a year. She said that's not what happened between December 2 and February 5, when 4 impeachment complaints were filed, 3 of which the lower chamber failed to act on. Her counsel, Attorney Sheila Sison of Fortuna Nervasa, said they will exhaust all legal remedies available to them.
Formal naman na ganun yung magiging reaction nila. Pero sa totoo lang, I don't think, hindi ko makita kung saan galing yung desperasyon kung pinag-aralan yung argumento.
The Vice President's team believes that the manner of filing the complaint was defective.
Even as the House has the exclusive power to initiate all cases of impeachment, hindi po yun absolute. Malinaw na sinabi ng Korte Suprema na itong power na ito, itong kapangyarihan na ito, ay subject sa parameters or constitutionally imposed standards, such as the manner of filing, the number of votes required, and the one-year constitutional bar. Bago mag-proceed, ang palagay ko dapat muna i-resolve yung question ng petition.
In her petition, Duterte listed as one her legal counsels, her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. That makes it 3 petitions pending before the Supreme Court related to the impeachment. Some House lawmakers criticized the petition filed by Vice President Duterte. According to House Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Gonzales, it seems the Vice President is desperate to escape accountability. House Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez argued that if the Vice President is truly innocent, she should face the allegations instead of avoiding the process and turning to the Supreme Court. For Batangas 2nd District Representative Jinky Luistro, who will serve as one of the impeachment prosecutors, there is no legal basis to stop the impeachment trial. She also said that the House did not rush the 4th impeachment complaint submitted to the Senate.
Yung verification po na kanilang question, it was followed word for word as written in the rules. So, it is our humble opinion na there's nothing wrong with the verification.
Meanwhile, former Senate President Franklin Drilon said the Supreme Court should not interfere with the impeachment process.
The basic rule is found in the Constitution. The impeachment court shall decide all impeachment cases. To me, the better attitude that the Supreme Court can follow is not to interfere. Let this be treated as a political question and therefore leave it to the judgment of the Senate asking or acting as an impeachment court to decide on this, including questions of jurisdiction.
Yun, on one side of the fence, sinasabi nila na, well, naging immune na dapat si VP Sara because the first 3 complaints when were received by the House Secretary General, ano na yun, considered na naka-file yun. But on the other side of the argument, teka lang, considered file at magiging immune ka lang pag tinakal ng Committee on Justice ito at sinabi ng Committee on Justice...
Actually, nabigay muna sa, sa speaker tapos dinala sa Committee
yes,
on
correct.
Justice.
And it has to go to the Committee on Justice, and the Committee on Justice, just like yung mga ibang complaint ni former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, has to say this is not sufficient in form and this is not sufficient in substance. Therefore, we will rescind or we will not elevate or recommend the
Yes.
hindi wala namang ganun Wala namang ganun na nangyari. So therefore, the 4th complaint, hindi pa siya technically, wala pang binasura.
Well, as expected naman they will exhaust any legal remedy diba, dito sa kanilang kaso, and we will see what will happen. Kasi yun nga sinasabi nga dito, legal experts gathered at a forum in UP's BGC campus to tackle questions or key questions on the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. Now, we have mobile journal Aime Atienza with the report.
The University of the Philippines College of Law and the Justice George Malcolm Memorial Foundation held a forum on emerging issues in impeachment at UP's BGC campus on Wednesday. In front of a packed auditorium, some of the country's biggest legal names debated the questions swirling over the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. For instance, can a special session be called in order for Senate to convene as a trial court?
Can the President call a special session? Yes, the power of the President to call a special session is not limited by anything.
Traditionally, yes. On recess, cannot be, unless the President calls for a special session. But this is a novel addition in the Constitution. And in the light of the intention of the framers of the Constitution, na walang patumpik-tumpik, umpisan kaagad. Because it's a time-compelling, significant activity in our country. Accountability, checking abuse of powers, etc., etc. Then, to me, I would say that regardless of the recess, time impeachment trial should begin in the light of this constitutional provision.
The last time a Philippine president initiated a special session was when former President Rodrigo Duterte called Congress to deliberate the 2021 national budget. Another question was, if the impeached officer resigns before conviction, does the trial get terminated and will consequences apply?
Carrying out the trial despite resignation of an impeached public official just to determine the disqualification is consistent with the purpose of impeachment, to ensure accountability, because otherwise mootness will just simply sweep that down the road, right? It would just remove every attempt to make a public official accountable.
There were also questions around the standard of evidence required for a conviction and whether there needs to be proof beyond reasonable doubt, just like in a regular court.
I think the standard, and I wouldn't say standard of evidence, the standard, I think, from which any evidence is appreciated by the senators should be, what would I, as a senator, need to be convinced of to remove this elected official from office and bar this official from ever being able to assume office.
Finally, the panelists weighed in on whether the Supreme Court can and should decide on the petitions to nullify the impeachment complaint.
The Supreme Court can take jurisdiction in actual cases, actual controversy that involves the rights, demandable rights of people, and when there is abuse of, or grave abuse of discretion. So
Let this be treated as a political question and therefore leave it to the judgment of the Senate asking or acting as an impeachment court to decide on this, including questions of jurisdiction. So it's best that the Supreme Court does not interfere.
San Juan Lone District Representative Isabel Zamora, who is a member of the House Prosecution Panel, and counsel for Vice President Duterte, Attorney Sheila Sison, came face-to-face at the UP Law Forum. Both said they were in the thick of preparations for trial, though didn't reveal too much about their strategies. Attorney Sheila Sison of Fortune, Narvasa, and Salazar, the law firm advising Vice President Duterte, did leave a dire warning in her opening remarks.
Removal by conviction on impeachment is a stunning penalty. The ruin of a life. Even more important, it unseats a person whom the people have deliberately chosen for that office.
Mobile journalist Aime Atienza, we are One News.
Parang ang sarap manood lang doon at makinig ka at you learn the ropes.
Saka walang pikunan kahit magkasalungat sila ng opinion, di ba? They're very respectful. On hindsight kasi, ang dalawang sides dyan kay Conchita Carpio-Morales, pwede daw pumasok ang Supreme Court provided na may issues regarding yung demandable rights mo as an individual ay na-infringe upon by any
parang
institution.
grave
Pero
discretion.
That simply means, kunyari ako, di ba, I have certain rights as a citizen of the Philippines, that's guaranteed in the Constitution, right to free speech, right to air my grievances, di ba, right to access to things like that. Kunyari, ang nangyayari, sinasabi nila, if any of my rights is infringed upon or na-suppress, then
Pwede akong pumunta sa Supreme Court.
Pero,
Supreme Court will
pero
decide.
technically, sa impeachment ito na pinagbotohan ng congressman ng 200, they just voted merely to impeach and to transmit to the Senate. So wala naman technically, sabi ng isang side ng argument ni Ronald, process to eh. Wala naman technically
This is mere political.
This is the transmittal and the votes of the congressman is a political exercise. Ngayon, sinasabi mo na-infringe yung rights, hindi pa because the trial has not commenced.
Yes.
Para malaman natin kung na-infringe yung rights mo and the way it's handled, let's go to the the trial.
Pero kasi 'di ba even si Atty. Torion na nakausap natin dito yesterday, ang dinidiin nila kasi dapat daw binigyan ng pagkakataon na makapag-comment si Vice President Sara Duterte doon sa impeachment. Binigyan siya ng 10 days to comment. Pero kasi, doon sa mga nakausap natin na tungkol dito ng mga legal experts, yung mga senators, mga former Senate President, sinasabi nila, yung argument na kailangan sumagot ni VP Sara dahil siya
Usually
yung
sa Committee on Justice level
pagka na-receive na ng Committee on Justice yung complaint, walang nangyaring gano'n.
And we all
Tapos
know,
isang sinasabi pa nila dito nung side nila VP Sara, meron din daw yung grave abuse nga daw ng kanilang is hindi parang si Secretary General ng House, 'di ba? Nasa kanya na yung 3 impeachment complaints pero hindi daw niya kaagad itinransmit sa House of Representatives as sa Speaker of the House. Yun yung isa sa mga sinasabi nila at nag-antay pa ng pang-4. Kaya yun yung mga butas na nakikita daw nila.
Pero
and we will see kung
the Secretary General of the House naman, when he received the 3 complaints, sabi niya, I'm not going to transmit this yet because hindi pa kumpleto. I'll wait for the 4th complaint kasi may nagparamdam na mag-file ng 4th complaint.
yun nga sinasabi lang, mali daw yun. Dapat daw, the moment you received it, you send it, transmit it kaagad sa House of Representatives.
But,
House Speaker.
Ibalik natin ang question sa kanila. Yung nangyaring ginawa ng Secretary General sa House, hindi ba a matter of process yun? Within Congress?
Within Congress.
So hindi ba dapat ang resolution dyan or may reklamo kayo?
Kasi another branch of government yan.
You should have gone sa loob ng Congress and said, may mali kayo sa procedure, can I file an appeal within I don't know about the rules, but not sa Supreme Court because it's a matter of process. Diba?
Yung dun sa usapin, yung dun sa sinasabi nila na, ang tawag dito, yung sa impeachment na dapat may 1-year ban kasi 3 na yung na-file.
Wala pa naman na...
May presidente, yung kay Ombudsman Conchita, sino yung Gutierrez, Teresita Gutierrez. Tama ba yung pangalan niya?
Merceditas.
Merceditas Gutierrez. May president na gano'n nangyari before. Na nagsabi ng Supreme Court, hindi pa naman yung na-transmit. Something to that effect.
Kailangan ma-deny ng Committee on Justice.